at vocal variety, eye contact, and gestures. And something I didn't mention in my early intro was the things that Courtney was applying to this speech, for, especially they were talking about the rate and speed of her talk, and then they wanted her to improve that. I think slow down, it sounded like, and that they liked the outline that she had, but they also wanted some kind of a visual, so that's why she gave us this thing. So applying the feedback and the clarity of the things that Jonathan will look at, and then I will look at the engagement and comfort with the audience. So, Barbara.
Courtney, thank you for your speech. I really enjoyed it, and I was really excited to be given the task of looking for the vocal variety, eye contact, and gestures, because you did all of those so well. Vocal variety. I know you had mentioned before the speech that you wanted to slow down a bit and emit a calm, which you were very steady, you showed that, and yet at times you interjected that excitement and emotion by using that vocal variety. I feel you did that very, very well. As for eye contact, I watched you as you looked about the room. Now, some people might allow their eyes to just glaze over the room, but I could see you making that contact with the different people in the room. And even from sitting further back, there was one point I could see you looking at Judy, and there was this connection as if for that 1 second she was the only person in the room. And I could see you doing that with other people as you went through your speech. And let me tell you, this might not be related to eye contact, but it's related to eyes. You have some of the most expressive eyebrows I've ever seen. And the way you use them, it's really a talent that you have. And the gestures, oh, how much fun it was to watch the different ways you created such a visual image for us. I could see you ticking away at that book list as you're saying, keeping track of all the books that I read. I could see you ticking them off of your list. And when you stood by the podium and you raised those hands up and said, I am going to accomplish these things, you gave a picture of a conqueror, that you were being very deliberate in convincing us that you were going to get this accomplished. And at one point, too, you talked about floating around, and oh my, I can relate to that. I've been doing that all my life. But it was a really good visual, and, you know, tapping those fingers and raising those eyebrows. So, just great. One thing I might say to look for in the future, I noticed a couple of sighs escaping, like, oh, am I getting through this? So just a couple, and otherwise, very, very expressive. Thank you so much, Courtney.
Courtney, I very much enjoyed your speech. I thought it was an excellent topic, and I thought that was a topic that applies to everyone in the room, no matter where you are or who you are. I was looking at the clarity and the applied feedback components for your evaluation. I'll start with the applied feedback piece first. You had indicated, again, the visual aid, which got mentioned, which you provided, and that your your other club that you gave the speech to prior, they said they recommended that you remain calm and you keep your voice up. As Barbara mentioned, you were definitely calm through that entire speech. You were definitely measured, you had a good pace, you did inject some positive energy when it was appropriate, maybe sped up a little bit, but it didn't feel rushed. And as somebody who rushes when they give a speech, I really admire that, because I understand that feeling that we have when that happens, but you didn't give into it, you stayed calm and you kept your voice up. I think I was sitting as far back as anyone can sit in this room, and I had no problems hearing you that entire time. You kept your voice up and you articulated really, really well. So I think that for the applied feedback, I think you took the feedback that your other club gave you and you applied it appropriately. And I know you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier that it was, you were on the third draft of your speech. Well, I would say listening to the speech for the first time, I never would have known, I never would have known that, like it felt like you were a little bit nervous because it was a third draft and you didn't know how it was going to come together. And I guess I'm trying to say, having heard it for the first time, I never would have thought that as coming across my mind. I would have thought that was a great, well put together, is what I'm trying to say. For clarity, I think, again, you were clear and I understood you very, very well. I don't think anyone had any problems hearing you. I will mirror what Barbara said. There were a few sighs that that happened during your speech that kind of took it a little way. And then there were just a couple of words as a suggestion that kind of got lost in a little bit of mush mouth. I know like oxymoron was one and rewarding was another one. There were a few more, but I didn't write them down. And I guess my suggestion is maybe if there is a word that is a little bit more difficult, that you spend some time rehearsing that word. Or I can also understand how just in the heat of the moment, sometimes words just don't come out. I know, just in a personal example, that in my club I was trying to adjourn a meeting and I could not say adjourn for the life of me, and so finally was, well, you all know what word I'm talking about, let's just get out of here. Other than that, I thought it was a really well speech with a really great topic that could apply to anyone, so thank you.
Courtney, well, thank you. You really had the audience watching you, and we were all engaged. We all, of course, have goals because one of our goals is become better speakers and leaders. So, but just helping us learn more about goals and about your own personal goals was really great to hear. I think there were some spots in there too where you had some nice humor, like I have a blog, you guys, or something like that. And it seemed like you were really having a lot of fun. Like Barbara mentioned, you were kind of like some nice energy you put in there, and the eyebrows. That's interesting, but I didn't notice your eyebrows, but I was focusing more on the audience part. So I think some spots where you maybe could engage with us a little bit more would be instead of just kind of assuming what we're thinking, actually ask for a show of hands, like when we say, yes, follow Toastmasters, I do have a blog, but something like, how many of you know I have a blog? And then maybe Judy might know or something. So just to have us, instead of just thinking that none of us would have a clue that you would have a blog, just really just see and just get us thinking and engaging. Asking for a show of hands is a nice engagement tool for the audience. And also, I think just the general organization of the speech, maybe I think it would be great if you could have it really focus more on what I think was the heart of the whole thing, was your passion for people with disabilities and your experience with your own differently able abilities. That would kind of be the underlying theme, and some of these extra things I wasn't sure about if you needed to include. Like I'm not sure why you would need to show like the energy drink. I know it's part of your business and that's part of another one of your goals, but I think if you really focus on the passion and bring us some story examples too, like you were talking about having one-on-ones with people with disabilities, but what is that like? I couldn't really understand what that's like, so and how did you, what was it like when you helped your mom? I think it would be really powerful to hear a story of your mom helping a child with special needs and how that touched you. And so I think those would just be ways to bring us in a little bit more and help it. And it was great to have the forum so that we could think about our own goals, but maybe just a little bit more background what exactly this means to claim your goal and how, what the power is behind that whole idea too. But all in all, I think we really enjoyed your speech. I think we got a lot out of it, and we got to know you a lot more, so it was really great to have you give the speech. Thank you very much. Now for your feedback to us now.
Well, like, I personally enjoyed giving a speech and doing a lot of research. One of the biggest things for me is overcoming too much information and then trying to filter out some of that stuff. So I'm learning more and more how to filter that stuff. Now I need to practice on, the biggest thing at my club was the endings, because I couldn't hear them very well before my hearing aids came in. Now it's something new that I can bring back to my club and actually learn about mushmouth. Guys, the same mushmouth syndrome. I've always blamed other people about the mushmouth, and I always, said, yay, I can celebrate, but not doing the mushmouth thing. So now I can bring that celebrate no more of the endings, because that's what one of the things I needed to work on. So, and then you brought up another good thing about the underlining themes, and maybe starting bringing that forward into springboard off of this speech, and then incorporating the eyebrows and the energy wrapped all into one, so it could be a series of speeches.
Oh, great. Okay. And now we have the chance for the audience to also give some